Hi, my name is Kumari Sky, and this is a yin yoga pose tutorial about the pose in yin that's called Swan. Now, you may know it as half pigeon from your yang like practices, but in yin we call it the Swan. So I have lots to say about the Swan, mostly that it's an amazing hip opener because gravity can really do the work here. It's also a really strong external rotation of the hip joint. It can also be a moderate back bend as well, and a great hip flexor and quad stretch too. So everybody will experience different. If you have any knee issues, I want you to be really cautious with this pose. You can always do the reclined version, which I'll go over in a little bit. So I just want to show you the swan pose. I'll give you the side view. So you can come into it from all four, slide your knee forward, kick your foot to the side, and then sink back into the hips. Okay. So here I'm feeling a really strong edge in my right hip and glutes, but I'm also feeling a lot of sensation in the front of my thigh, my quadriceps and hip flexors. You could use blocks here to help stay up. So we're sinking back more into the hips. Another way to enter the pose is through downward dog. So holding in downward dog, raising a leg, coming through, and then sinking back into the hips every time, sinking back into the hip. So this is swan. Sometimes we call it proud swan because we're lifting up. And then there's sleeping swan. So that might be one you're a little more familiar with. So you're going to be coming down. You could rest here. Some people might put their forehead on the floor. I know a lot of my students really enjoy having a bolster here. If you are someone that you're not really feeling it very much here, you can open this leg out a little more so it's 90 degrees, then slide your hip over and most likely you'll be feeling it a lot more. Another way to intensify is to bring the opposite arm than the knee and slide it through. So that's just some basics. Sometimes people's back leg is going to hurt, so we'll use a blanket. Okay. The blanket goes right under the shin, and then you can find your way into the pose and be a little more comfortable. So the main thing is we really want to, before we just fall right into it, we want to make sure that more of the energy is moving back towards the hips before we come forward. So now let's say your knee just isn't going to have this. You can do the reclined version. Starting out like this, taking one ankle, pulling your leg in, either grabbing behind the thigh or the shin. My left arm went through the hole. Something that's really popular in my classes, if people aren't comfortable with doing the traditional swan, is I have them come to the wall. Because for the other people, I'm holding it for several minutes, and holding your leg up can get tiring. So I have them go to the wall. And that way their foot can press against the wall and they're supported, but they're still feeling that nice sensation in the hip. So some counter poses in between, down dog, child's pose, windshield wipers, all those are great in between. You can hold the proud swan, so this one. Hold that one between like 1 and 3 minutes. But then if you're going to move into the sleeping swan, you could stay like 3 to 5 minutes. So this proud swan is moderately young, right? Because we're like lifting up, but we're trying to relax the bottom half of the body. So you could do both in a practice, like hang out here for 1 minute and then down here for 4 minutes. Just see what works for you. Oh, another thing I want to show you too. So let's say you can get into it, but you can't, this is all the farther back you can sink. Put something underneath your buttock and then lean back into it so you feel more supported. You can also put a folded blanket or a bolster there if you like. That, because when your bones feel supported, like when your structure feels supported, your muscles are more apt to relax, and that we want to relax the muscles as much as possible in yin yoga, especially in the target area, the edge area. We want to stay as relaxed as possible. So this one's meridians affected are the liver and the kidney, because the groin area, the stomach and the spleen with that back leg sticking out. The gallbladder is affected because of the outer leg. So when we're like this is where the gallbladder meridian is, and it gets stimulated. And then the urinary bladder gets stimulated because of this low back. So yeah, I already went over the counter poses and the hold times, the alternatives. I think that's about it for swan and sleeping swan. Make sure that if you have any questions or concerns with your practice, feel free to leave me a comment and I'll get back for you. And thank you for watching my yin yoga pose tutorial.